Okay, so I've been doing a little bit of rework on the fuel sending unit on Jim. So what I found was the little connection right here with my hot wire. It had, you can see the plastic insulator piece. It had burned out, and actually whenever I put my connector across there, it didn't have any continuity, but it had continuity from the wire to the ground over here. So the fuel pump was good. I thought it might have been bad because it cut out on me. So you can see here, that's all burned up in there too. And I kind of didn't like some of this wiring that I had in there, and I wanted to do, I watched something actually after I put my fuel pump in. I was on one of the live chats with Neil Mustangs and, was telling him that I put the Walbro pump in. And he's like, "You did the fuel pump wiring upgrade, right?" And I was like, what? So I watched his video, and I just kind of based what I did on what he did there. I'm going to do something similar, but I'm going to use more of the factory wiring instead of like what he did. But there'll be a card, if I can get this right, should be a card up there somewhere for his video. And I did like what he did, the little grommets in here. Now my 10 gauge wire that I have here, the red one, probably can't see it, but it doesn't have quite as much insulation on it, so it don't fit as tight, and there's a little gap in there. This one fits okay, but for my peace of mind, I'm going to just take a little bit of JB Weld Quick and put around the edge of the wire, and I have them shoved up in there a little too far, a little too tight. I'll put some in there and daub it in there, and then just pull the wire back a little bit. That way it gets up in there and seals it up. And this should be good for gasoline too. So the next thing that I want to talk about is a tech tip on putting some of these things together. And there's some good general knowledge, like these grommets where they fit into the factory holes, which I did drill out a little bit too with I think it's a 1660, or not a 1664th, that don't make any sense. 1964th, I think it was, drill bit. Anyways, what I did was I took my dielectric grease and I put a little bit of that around that grommet. That way it'd pop in a lot easier. So I did the same thing. If you look on this hose, how it's all nice and tight and all the way up, butted up all the way against on both sides. This hose is real stiff because it's fuel injection hose. It can hold the higher PSI. So I was trying to get that hose on there, and I was just twisting it and everything, and it's kind of hurting my wrist, and it wasn't going in all the way. So what I did was, when I pulled it off to cut it and trim it and everything, I put some of the dielectric grease on both sides, and it just slipped right in there. So it's not going to hurt the hose or anything, your fuel, but it'll work as just kind of a general purpose lubricant to get this up in there. So that's a tech tip there, is use the dielectric grease to get your hoses and grommets, whatever, on like that a lot easier. And it's actually, I kept pushing on it and it wouldn't even seat without doing it like that. So that's a good little trick to know. Alright, I'm working on the wiring upgrade for Jim here. So as you can see, I've come in, I've got that completed. Got the little JB Weld stuff in there to seal it up. And using my little heat shrink butt connector on there. And right now I'm using a factory wiring just because I'm kind of doing it in stages. What I'll probably do when I get ready to do the body side is take this ground and just bypass this connector right here, because that stuff's kind of not the best looking. And I'll just bypass the hide and all that and rewire all this with the bigger wire going up to the relay, then battery, and then do my ground right here. Do it the same way when I'm ready to do that portion of it. So the way I'm doing it now, I'll go through a few butt connectors, a few more, but those things are pretty cheap. So I can sit here and come and undo this connection here and plug the new wire in and keep going with it, and just do it in stages basically. Okay, I'm still wrestling with getting this fuel pump in. what I did was, if you see where the filter is pointing that way, that's how it has to point for the Walbro pump to go inside the stock tank, because you got the shrouding that sets up in there, and if the filter's pointing the other way, if it's turned around pointing that way over here, it won't go in. So that's what I'm wrestling. I got it all turned around, and I was trying to put it in, and I had it in like that, but I was using this old hose, and it snaked around there good, and it didn't kink up, whereas my other hose, even though it's a little short, was kinking up. I cut me another length that was more like the old hose here, and it's still kinking up. So I think I finally have it looking pretty decent. Got my wires in there connected. Went ahead and put a little zip tie on here to hold it in, because before I was using a hose pressure to push the pump down and hold it steady. Also went in, I don't know if this is necessary, but I cut out the frame in there so that the pump sits about that 1/4 inch or so lower. Okay, so I did a whole bunch of trial and error. I've tried this right here in different permutations to try to get it to go on there. And I end up just cutting pretty much all the factory stuff out. Cut this piece off. I tried doing different things with it, and I just couldn't get the factory mounting system to work. It's very surprising to me, because I'll turn around here and get a little bit better light. It's real surprising to me because the first time I put it in, it just kind of went in using the factory old hose, and I thought, hey, just replace the hose. This should be pretty easy. And, well, that's just how these projects turn out. Just modifying the modified modifier here. So I got my little filter hold down, zip tied on. It also sits on the very bottom of the tank too. So I could raise that up just a hair, maybe a 1/4 inch. Got everything in line. What's holding the pump on is actually the fuel hose. Zip tied my wires up there so they're not flopping around or anything. I don't like how my JB weld popped out and there's a little gap in there, but I think I'll be okay with that. That'll just be a little bit of vapor vent. Not like there's not a whole bunch of vapor vent on the thing already. So I think a lot of people just take the vapor vent and just let it dump out the back. So, but anyways, here it is. It's all together. It does fit down in there. So I just need to put it together now. Okay, fuel pump's all in. And do a function check. Okay, I heard it kick on. Alright, I've kicked it on twice. Go out and look for leaks. No leaks or anything, which there shouldn't be. There's little push connectors. But I always like to double check fuel lines and stuff instead of just cranking something up and thinking it's good. Alright, well that worked. Good old speed density, you gotta rev it way up there. Of course I do have some mods on this. Anyways, that works.